stick down. So Royal, they're going to get a lot of mileage out of that there in terms of team fighting here, and Caitlyn being considered here by Royal. It's possible. It'd be interesting if they wanted to put Ezreal mid.
I mean, Ezreal against Gragas, eating a lot of free damage, would you, as a Gragas player, as a melee champion against a ranged AD. But this is more the flavor we expect from Royal, but nothing's locked in, nothing's determined just yet.
I mean, this would be Royal 101 if they wanted to go with Fizz plus Nasus there. A support any short of playing probably one of the comps they're absolutely comfortable with here. But of course, that was banned out here, but they are going to pick up Nasus and Fizz as their 4th and 5th here. And Positive Energy, you know, they've picked a couple of champions here and there. They've got Sona Vayne, they've got Gragas, they've got Vi as well for the jungle here. But it's going to be their last pick here, because Royal kind of cards on the table, at least here for this opening game. You kind of know what you're going to get when you play against Royal for the most part here, and Royal have absolutely delivered on expected picks here, you have to say.
And speaking of knowing what you're going to get, the Ghost Teleport at the moment for Godlike, you have to think that's going to be a Nasus top here. But they do have that flexibility to put Jarvan in the top lane. Jax versus Nasus will be a very interesting matchup.
And Jax, once again, is the last pickup here for Positive Energy. And Jax, I think, is 1-4 in the LPL summer. So has not been doing 2 or maybe 1-3. I can't remember how many games he's been played in. But Jax has not done all that well for most of the teams that have tried to pick him up. With PDD, I believe, carrying the flag for the only Jax win in the LPL summer.
I mean, to me, the Vi pick is the most interesting thing of this draft here. Vi was picked after Ezreal was picked, and of course Ezreal, not Vi's favorite person to, not favorite AD carry to engage on, just because Ezreal, of course, has access to that Arcane Shift, can Arcane Shift into his team and have plenty of peel once he comes out of that Assault and Battery. But, I mean, if you look down the comp that Royals picked here, basically the only person Vi is really interested in locking down is that Ezreal. They have a lot of tanky DPS, the Jarvan, the Nasus, the Thresh coming out from the Royal side, and of course getting the Assault and Battery onto a Fizz is going to be an exercise in frustration here. So I mean, Vi has seen so much popularity in the OGN scene, seen so many picks coming out of the likes of the KT and CJ teams, but I don't know if it's going to work for Positive Energy here.
I mean, it's interesting. I think they wanted a reasonably high-pressure jungler just to kind of navigate Jax through what we assume to be an awkward landing phase no matter what, because Jax really, he needs a lot of gold to get going. You invest into Jax, you usually get paid off big if you're able to get to late game, but investing into Jax is a long time-consuming process.
Very good rates when it comes to full time.
Yes, it's just a matter of, you know, being there long enough to see your investment through to the end. So Positive Energy, I mean, picking kind of the way we expect here going for that late game, but it'd be interesting to see if they're able to pull it out here. And Royal, of course, to kind of have a very Royal comp here. As I said, one support any away from being their standard here. But I think Tabe is going to be happy with Thresh, who's almost as aggressive, I'd say, as support any.
Definitely, and I mean, the Thresh has been banned towards Tabe, but he loves playmaking on that Annie. He's happy to take Annie into any matchup. So banned away here just to remove that AoE CC potential and laning pressure that Annie can put out. Thresh, a wonderful backup.
Okay, Nines. That's not where you want to be. He's going to face take that brush, and there's the damage coming out. Wither in there as well. Playful Tricks on top. He's actually going to flash her and maybe get away, but there's White's flashing forward. The Mystic Shot just missing there. And K9s will live through Ignite there with very, very little health. He's got to dodge.
He's not going to live.
No. Oh, Mystic Shot actually missed there. Lucky's going to go in though. And that was interesting.
Clearly some sort of internet issues coming up there for the stream, I guess. We're seeing the player shots here. That was, for a level 1 turret dive, if something happened there, would be super awkward.
It would be, but we'll have to wait and see here. You can see Royal there on your screen, looking very fetching in their red and yellow shirts. I think, I wonder if K9's dodged a bullet there. We may even see just a remake of this game. Be very curious to see what happens here. You can see, I think, one of the admins there on your screen, likely trying to sort out what's going on. Looks like one of the Royal players has an issue with their computer. I think K9's is down the end there up the top, furthest away from your screen. As you can see, Positive Energy now on your screen. I think he's probably pretty happy to be alive for now. But we'll see what happens, of course.
It looked like one of those situations where after Jax flashed, Royal were conscious they didn't want to overcommit. You know, they didn't want 4 members flashing past that ridge to secure the kill. And then at just that awkward point where they didn't have any cooldowns available on the Fizz that did flash over, and they couldn't secure it. I mean, the turret dive probably was going to lead to a kill pickup there. Maybe a trade kill, hard to say, but the awkward pause or internet issues here will have to wait to be resolved.
Yep, so we'll just chill and see what happens here. Positive Energy, you can see, just hanging out. Seems like they don't have any issues on their end. I think Royal might be the ones that are having some trouble with whatever it is. Just making sure their hands are warm up there. I mean, again, lots and lots and lots on the line here for the teams. You really, You're happy once you get into the finals and get to that top 2 because you've at least secured a slot in Worlds, but even at that point, when you get to the grand finals here in the qualifier, it is such a big deal to win there in that best of 5 and make sure you kind of claim a guaranteed spot through, you know, the early stages of Worlds at least here. So 2 teams will get to go here over the 4 we've got here for today's qualifier, or this weekend's qualifier I should say, as we are going to be playing tomorrow as well. And everything matters here. Players absolutely need to make sure that computers are all in order, internet's all good. And looks like I think we maybe not. K9's actually alive here. Just checking. Yeah, White's flash is down, so looks like whatever happened was sorted out. Play has resumed now, and K9's, he's alive, Papa Smithy. He'll be very happy.
And the question is, can Royal kind of compartmentalize that? They thought for sure that with their map movement they picked up a first blood. It hasn't happened here. They have some summoners down as well. But that early advantage they would have banked upon hasn't come to fruition.
No, and your call though about how they're going to lane this Nasus and Jarvan is correct. Lucky is going to be the one in the jungle and Jarvan, and Godlike's actually up against 1v2 now in the bottom lane there on that Nasus with Teleport Ghost, as you noted earlier.
He actually has a couple of extra pots as well. I'm not sure because they went for a late... I don't think it was a late shopping trip here. I think that might be a utility spec coming out there. I mean, Nasus, he has the wave clear with his Spirit Fire. He has the lifesteal passive. So he actually is fairly decent in a 1v2 situation. And Jax... I mean, Jax really does struggle in a 1v2.
Yeah, Lucky moving up towards the top as well. It's actually countering the way the red buff now going to bully K9s out of this section in the top. Lucky actually going pretty deep there. Level 1 K9s is still, who despite not getting first blooded, still had some problems there. And now Jarvan going to move up. Level 3, throw his banner down, try and clear out these waves. They're going to try and take this top turret as quick as they can. And you know, if that's the plan here for Royal, as you mentioned already, Godlike probably pretty good at counter pushing here. And this is something we've seen so often, especially in the latter weeks of the LPL. From the Chinese teams, it's this 3-man kind of 3-minute push. It's not about the 3-man tower dive anymore. It's about picking on the level 1 1v2 lane in a different way here by really just moving them off their turret and taking it quickly. And I mean, Godlike, he's probably, if he had Spirit Fire, he actually has Wither from the level 1 because he spotted it and used it on K9s. Even if he had Spirit Fire here though, I don't know if he'd be able to stop the push, and Royal are going to get first turret here. Looks like PE going to follow up very quickly though.
Not able to get quite the last hit there, so turret's probably going to be falling down the same sort of time. Doesn't look like they're going to be pushing onto a second turret though, which we have seen a little bit here, but instead rotating away.
Godlike, I think, just needs an extra level. He's going to probably be able to stop the push here. Actually moving in for maybe a bit more experience here. Positive energy. Just, you know, taking the time denying the last few bits of CS, but absolutely will get the turret down here. And that will go down there. So, top turret falls, bottom turret falls, and... You know, this is kind of the way games have gone in the last few weeks of the LPL. As Jojo gets aggressive on the whites, actually ignites him there as well. He's not quite able to play for tricks to add some of that damage, so he takes a big body slam there. This Tabe just trying to harass K9s out there towards the top lane. Royal aren't going to move from this lane here. Looks like Positive Energy going to stay down here as well. It's not quite the extended push onto the tier 2s that we saw actually in the first game between OMG and IG, with the junglers sticking around to really push in, but we're still going to have 2v1s here, and Jax is still going to have some problems, I think.
Definitely. He doesn't have any ranged wave clear options. He has to get in for those auto attacks, or to leap in for those auto attacks. So no fun for Jax here, but he is being left to freeze the lane a little bit. He has got some CS, whereas Godlike really struggling. 0 CS still at the 5-minute mark almost.
Picked up Spirit Fire now, so able to get some of that counter push going. Some AoE wave clear maybe to help him out from range as well, so maybe going to start picking up some CS now as well. Lucky you're actually moving in towards the mid, but Krager's going to be okay. Jojo not too worried there, had Body Slam plus Flash ready to go, so probably able to move out of that one if needed. Bottom lane actually have had a rotation from Royal. Looks like they may be trying to start a fight there. Tabe's actually rotating in towards the bottom. You can see he's moving through the river there. Lucky here, just defending off in the mid, trying to cover that off, and looks like Positive Energy realizing what's going on, going to back off from any aggressive play Tabe maybe wanted to make here. So things looking fine for both teams here. 1 kill up there for Royal. They did actually manage to pick up that kill onto Jax finally. I guess he did die? I'm very confused now, because I'm pretty sure he wasn't died when we joined the game. He must have died earlier, or slightly later, I should say.
Yeah, it is a bit strange, unfortunately, but interested in Nasus staying grouped here. He's not interested in picking up CS for himself. I guess Royal, what they're trying to do here is they're trying to play the game quick so that Jax never gets that 7,000 gold threshold of Triforce and Bork. But it's risky because now Godlike, I mean, he has 1 CS at the 6-minute mark.
Royal moving in. Do manage to pick up that dragon though, so nice rotation there. Realizing they were moving the dual lane down towards the bottom. Able to get some control of that dragon and pick it up nice and early there, so they'll pick up that objective there. Being slightly ahead on global objectives, there's 1 apiece in turrets with that dragon being up. Royal about 1,300 gold or so ahead, so they'll be happy to pick up some extra cash in their pockets. Uzi, by the way, has a very early phage here in this one, and he must have gotten a kill at some point on the Jax. He's actually the only one with a kill, and Kanan's, of course, the only one that's died, so don't quite know when it happened. I could have sworn he didn't die, as looks like we are going to have a die Fizz. Ziv could be in trouble, and that's a dead Vi. White's going to pick that one up there on Fizz, and Royal really just aggressively moving through and trying to push out the lanes here, as they are getting quite aggressive on this mid turret now, looking to maybe take their second outer turret very, very quickly. Nice ult, actually. Oh my goodness, White's there straight back into the turret. Jojo actually going to move back in there as From the Waters comes out. White's very aggressive there. Playful Tricks on top of him. Does pick up the kill though. Goes down though in and amongst it all. And now Sticker and Kanan's chasing out onto Uzi as Caitlyn. Forced to flash there as Ezreal. Lucky they're backing off there as well. So Positive Energy going to pick up a trade kill there with a very nice ult coming out from Jojo. But aggressive play there from Whites with the help of some of his teammates. Does pick up the kill there 1-for-1.
Worth knowing the CS players on the Positive Energy side are keeping them in this game. They are, despite being 2 kills down and a dragon, they are out-CSing their opponents from Royal here. They've been trying to group and make things happen. It might actually come to bite them here.
Kanan's there moving in on Jax with the help of Sicker and Ziv. Going to maybe look to do some damage to this turret, but Tarbane lucky in there. Death Sentence will miss there onto Sicker, I believe was the target, but a little right there of that one as Uzi down the bottom. Just trying to last hit up against this turret. Name actually had free reign of this bottom lane right now. I mean, Uzi, with that early kill and those 2 assists as well, going to be moving for a very quick Trinity Force here, which is really going to make his dual potential just out of this world on Ezreal. But Name right now, pretty comfortable with the CS she's getting it as long as Vayne keeps going in this situation and Blade of the Ruined King is picked up in a timely fashion. Even Trinity Force Ezreal may not be able to stop, at least in a 1v1 between Vayne and Ezreal.
And judging by Ezreal's move speed there, I believe we are on 3.10a pastry time. I believe we do have the new Trinity Force coming out here as far as I could tell.
Would make a little bit more sense of the Jax pick if it was. I'll keep an eye out for the movement there. Uzi gets a little speed lands around him, but I mean that would make sense here. Definitely why Uzi has a quick fade here, moving into what looks like a fast Trinity Force with that Sapphire Crystal here. Other than that, in terms of items, we've got Spirit Stones up for both junglers here, Chalice up for Gragas, now as well there for Jojo, and looks like White's is eventually going to be moving into a Lich Bane there with double Durance plus an Amplifying Tome. Nothing really of note other than that in terms of items. We've got Name just with a Vampiric Scepter building up towards a assumed Bilgewater Cutlass here, and Nasus actually started with a Negatron Cloak. I guess he wants a fast Spirit Visage here.
Yeah, he actually gone for the non-magic mantle as well, so I mean maybe for Merc Treads here, but that's a lot of early magic resist coming out from Nasus.
Yeah, I mean, 1v1 against Kano, he's not going to be too happy about how that works out, but he's going to be very happy with the Spirit Visage nonetheless. Be curious to see what happens here as White's now Trump the Waters used onto Jojo again, but Gragas really trying to get it done, but great play there from White's. Jojo moving in for the ult flash there from White's. Realizes he needs to make sure he gets out of the range of that ult. Wasn't going to kill him, but the follow-up certainly would have, so smart play there from Fizz to flash and not get moved back in towards Gragas. But White's, for a Fizz player that's played a lot of Fizz, that's also played a lot of Gragas when we've seen him play, struggling here against Jojo.
And Royal are going all in on this fast push base jam. They're not interested in Jax laning 1v1 up top with no opponent. They just want to push down these 3 turrets as fast as possible here, and they're not worried about any of these late game terrors on the Positive Energy side farming up for the late game.
Did a big chunk of damage to that bottom turret now as well. That's about 20% health now. But, you know, they've 3-man pushed mid turret. They've 4-man pushed bottom turret. Still no other turret than the first one they got in those early 2v1s with the junglers moving in at 3 minutes. So you have to think Positive Energy. You can see Kanan's here just happily free farming right now as Jax is actually significantly far ahead of Godlike's Nasus in terms of farm. As you mentioned it before, P were doing well in terms of farm against Royal with all the pushing they were doing. If this continues, Royal are going to find themselves very behind very, very quickly.
Absolutely. If you commit multiple resources and don't get those global objectives, the fact that you're not pocketing that 130, 180 gold to make up for the lack of CS, it starts to hurt your bank account.
Godlike here just farming away the golems here. White's actually moving up towards the top. I think he's the one they want to try and stop Kanan's, but he turns around. The Charm of the Water's going to move through there as well. The Counter-Strike doing a nice stun. And White's maybe going to move back in there. Urchin Strike should be back up. There it is. He moves back in for the kill, but there's Playful Tricks. The Kanan's got to be careful, and beautiful play there from White's. The Ignite may be going to get the kill here, but looks like Fizz will live through that. And a very nice outplay there. And White's, whenever we've seen him do well, it seems to be when he goes up towards the top lane and really punishes bruises with Fizz.
It's one of those things where he's so comfortable with the champion and also with lane movement is that he's very happy to take mid champions into off lanes. He's very happy to take that Fizz into matches against bruisers like Jax, like Shen and Renekton we've seen as well, and win those matchups. So it's not something you commonly see from mid players, but White's on Fizz. He's happy to take him into any lane or any situation.
K9's there, pays for it there as well. Blasting one. Sheen now finished up for White, so his Lichbane going to be nice and on the way. And as we've said, Royal are a team that really makes Fizz look good in terms of Snowball. White's almost always seems to be ahead, especially when Royal are winning there. As Jojo looks for the ult there. Lucky coming through as well. Forced to flash out there for Gragas, but Cataclysm on top of Ziv there is going to try and get the damage out as Vault Breaker gets Vi out of trouble, at least for that one. So Royal really looking to make some picks happen here. Godlike down the bottom, finally picking up a little bit of empty land farm as well. But still problems here for Royal. I mean, Positive Energy, if the games keep going like this, they are absolutely happy with just extending this landing phase.
It's worth knowing, though, the gold lead, of course, is in Royal side at the moment with those early kills here. And Nasus, he is farming, so not too much to concern from a Royal side. But, I mean, Jojo went for the aggressive pick there, missed the explosive cast. They weren't able to pick up any picks in the mid lane. But Royal, they'll slowly farm up and try and get back into this game.
Got a very early Dragon as well. In fact, it may even be back up now. They took it really, really fast. Just around the 6-minute mark, and there we go. Just before it looks like as it pops back up at 11:51. Royal going to clean this one up again. And as you said, they've got a nice little global or gold advantage here already, just based on the few kills, and now the second Dragon that they'll pick up as well. I guess the thing was, Royal kind of realized that, you know what, we're going all in for these pushes. It's not really working out. That's not what we want to be doing here. So, they kind of dialed it back a bit, just use the lead that they have here and kind of playing a little smarter, trying to get farm equally across the 3 lanes here. Because, when you're constantly 4-5-man shoving a lane, you will end up falling behind here and giving P maybe a little too much space. There's Assault and Battery under Godlike there. He'll pop his ultimate there, Fury of the Sands. And Nasus will be okay. Much like Renekton, his bro. He's pretty tanky at a pretty low cost there, is Nasus.
So the theory here from Royal's side is that they know that Jax, they always want the Trinity Force to Blade the Ruin King, which with this price now probably about 6,800 gold to pick up both those items. They're trying to make it so that in terms of objectives, using Nasus's early wave clear and ability to cancel his auto attacks and get very nice damage into structures with that siphoning strike, they're trying to make it so that by the time Jax freeze farms or farms up the top lane doesn't group, the game's already over. So the only chance Positive Energy has here is to just delay the game for as long as possible.
And Royal once again moving in for the push. Ziv going in there as well. Lucky actually getting quite low. A great crescendo there from Sika. Explosive cask as well. Will pick up Lucky there for Jojo. As now Godlike's going to look to get chased down as well. Tabe quite low there as final hour gets popped for Name. Tabe not quite enough there with the Dark Passage Shield as Godlike's going to get taken out there as well. And some beautiful pickups there. A great crescendo plus a nice Greg Assault with Ziv starting the party there with Assault and Battery as well. 3 clean kills for 0 there for PE. And you know what? They don't necessarily have to wait for the late game if they can find a nice pick.
No, it was just fantastic grouping there. K9's AoE CC to complement that beautiful flash crescendo from Sika. What a kill, and we're going to get a replay right here.
You can see K9's are moving in, a nice counter-strike they're picking up too, and then there's a crescendo coming in. Tabe back on the end, they get himself picked off. Lucky goes down there, and Royal in complete disarray after that explosive cast. Name around the side as well, able to chase out the last kill there onto Tabe, and then just lots and lots of damage there. A knock-up from Vault Breaker, securing Godlike there, and the mid-tower goes down there as well. 2 for 1 now for Positive Energy in terms of turrets. They are ahead on the board right now, and very, very even in gold. Pretty much even with about 100 or so between them, which is absolute change at this point.
And look, the earlier map movement has definitely helped Royal when it comes to dragon control. Like 2 dragons before the 12-minute mark is massive for Royal. And of course, the supports here will be feeling that great. I mean, Tabe on Thresh, he's got the Sidestone and Fleur done very early here. Probably going to go pick up those Boots of Mobility next. But nice map movement from Positive Energy. Managed to pick up some kills there and arrest this gold league now. Only 500 gold in the advantage for Royal.
No. The good news for Royal, though, is that with those 2 dragons, they've gotten a nice big chunk of global gold they have managed to pick up here. Uzi already has a Trinity Force. So he's ready to go in terms of any sort of duel or pushing situation. I mean, that's going to give him a great poke. Just all round gives him fantastic stats. And it's been a while since we've seen Trinity Force Ezreal, but with Trinity Force definitely back in favor here after its recent changes. Uzi's very, very scary. And I mean, Name right now does have Blade of the Ruin King, so I'd be curious to see who wins this particular fight, although I'm guessing it's probably Vayne, as the answer almost always is. But Royal at least have their carry player Uzi, who's, again, known for being just so consistent and so strong. He's definitely looking strong here for his team here, and Positive Energy do have to be aware of that.
Yeah, and if we were looking over on the KT Rolster side, Score, when he's been playing that, Ezreal has been going Trinity Force into Last Whisper, then Infinity Edge, just for that a very early poke, with the 200% Spellblade proc on the Trinity Force, and then the Last Whisper to amplify that into just right-click DPS from that Infinity Edge.
Yeah, White's has himself a Lichbane now as well, so double Spellblades out now for Royal. And White's going to be able to chug along here and maybe get his snowball going. He's got a couple of kills, actually 3-1-1, which is pretty decent given that he's been involved in every kill Royal have had so far. But, right now K9 is getting a little stronger here. Name rotating up as well. White's going to have to back off from towards this turret. Looks like Positive Energy going to do some pushing of their own here as they'll take out their third outer turret of the game here. White does have to be careful. Playful Tricks himself out of the way. But PE, for all the shoving that Royal were doing, Positive Energy...
The economy of movement, you have to say, from Positive Energy. They haven't been trying to force anything, but they are taking those turrets when they do make the moves.
And it's converting nicely here. Again, the gold lead very close between these two teams. K9's actually chasing onto White's now, though, who wants more. Playful Tricks is out of the way. The thing is, though, White's he had a good start, but he needs to get more going here for Fizz. And if you're a team like Royal with only one tower down after working so hard to push down at least one other outer turret, it's really hard for your Fizz to snowball when the mid game's just kind of at a standstill.
He has this Lich Bane here, so the mid game's in full swing, but they aren't converting that into either turrets, which of course Lich Bane very strong at taking structures, or those assassin kills that, of course, Fizz's kit is completely built for.
And Positive Energy masterfully kind of know what's going on here. I mean, they're completely aware of the type of game that Royal want to be playing with the comp they've picked. They know the timings of which champions are strong when and what they're trying to accomplish here. And they've really just slowed the game down for the most part to a pace that absolutely suits them to a T. You can see in the mid now, 4 champions battling it out. But again, that's pretty scary. 1v1ing a Vayne with the Blade of their own king, although I guess Tabe's around if anything does go wrong. Royal still working on this turret here. You can see Godlike down the bottom, been AoEing down the waves as much as he can. He's actually up against Jojo, and I was happy for the Spirit Visage with they're coming out as well. A nice ultimate there from Jojo, actually wants to keep going here. Level 2 level advantage as well here is Jojo up against Godlike, who again is just getting shoved in further and further here as he tries to clear out as much as he can. Royal...
that trade, the Magic Resist vindicated there, is between the Spirit Visage and the non-Magic Mantle. Unfortunately, no kill pressure for Jojo on the Gragas there.
No, Jojo just going to keep moving around. Got a need to see Large Rod, so getting towards some of that more burst damage that Gragas does like. He's got his Athene's finished up as well. It's kind of funny to see 2 different assassins in a way on either side here. We've already talked about White's Fizz. Looks like he's building his Zombies now that Seeker's Armguard finished up. But Gragas, the champion that you really do want to be ahead on, because all he really does is a lot of burst damage.
Definitely. The mid game is Gragas's wheelhouse when the 0.9 ratio on his barrel roll and on the 1 AP ratio on the explosive cast just means that a needlessly large rod, that contributes 152 damage to your burst combo. That's an absolutely massive amount of burst that comes out there. But late game, when the Magic Resist comes out, struggles a little bit more then.
Tabe actually looking for a death sentence, goes in there, pops the box there, Vido smites that up, and a great crescendo moves in there as Lucky and Tabe get themselves stunned up. White, so diving onto Vayne in there as well. Ziv trying to pin them off to a great flash Vault Breaker there, and Positive Energy just fighting so well here as Godlike moving in very aggressively with Fury of the Sands pop there, but Name picks up White there on that Fizz. Now Tabe trying to get out there as K9's is mopping up as well. Godlike's going to go down as well. Jojo the only casualty there, and Royal 4 for 1 in that team fight, plus the Dragon up for PE as well.
There's so many resources used to track down Name there, but 2 people fell in its wake. Jax was doing a lot of damage at the front. Positive Energy, they're looking great in team fights.
And that's one thing we've really seen from them, isn't it, Papa? They've just looked so good when they're together, playing in concert and really just playing as a team. They've got great awareness and great team fight. And Royal here, with the way they like to play especially, they kind of need an early advantage. And they sort of had one in this game, and PE just casually slowed the game down. Again, really reminding me of who was at the time, once upon a time, the secondary team for World Elite here. PE, definitely a team of their own, absolutely a unique team, but certainly have some of the flavor, some of the style that their old friends from World Elite really possess and really exemplify as a Chinese League of Legends team.
Just a very strong team fighting team, Page Time, and they know what to do in team fights. They know how to open up space for Name. They rely on Name for that carrying, but 2-0-2 on Vayne now, looking very comfortable. Slight CS disadvantage compared to Ezreal, but doing fine for himself. Positive Energy just team fight well, and they just showed an example right there of what they're capable of.
And I think the bad news for Royal, unfortunately, is that the item timings here hit very, very hard for PE. We've got Trinity Force finished up for K9s, we've got Rabadon's finished up for Gragas, we've got Phantom Dancer on the way here for Vayne as well. So some major items really completed with the last bit of gold they picked up as well. So if PE want to go again for another team fight, then they absolutely have a lot of power jump here. But K9's just happily empty lane farming up towards the top. 1 major item down, 1 to go. When he hits that Blade of the Ruin King, it is bad news bears for Royal, shall we say.
Yeah, and look, we're not 100% sure whether he'll just transition into tanky, given that this is the buffed Trinity Force, and he's led to pick up that up first. If it had been the Blade of the Ruin King first, I would have been very surprised if Trinity Force wasn't the next pickup, but he's got options, does K9s.
Really, at one point you get Trinity Force, you need 1 other item usually to get going as Jax, and what K9s wants, it's absolutely his choice here, but once that next item gets completed here, once the Jax has been invested into, then Positive Energy, you have to think, are really going to look to try and take a fight here as well. And I think the timing they're probably looking for, if that's their plan, and they have really shown that they want to slow down this game to a pretty comfortable pace here and move in towards kind of the mid-late game. I think Gragas' Void Stuff and the next item for Jax are going to be timed very nicely together, and then whatever happens from there, I think Positive Energy, that is absolute go time for them.
On the Uzi side here, I mean, with the Bloodthirster and the Trinity Force finished here, a lot of poke available for Royal, so that serves them very well in sieging, where they have a Lich Bane and the Siphoning Strike from Fizz and Nasus, respectively, to take those turrets very fast. But, I mean, with such a strong initiation threat like Ziv on the Vi here, I mean, Vi just wants to pick fights and they don't want to get poked down by that Ezreal damage.
And Positive Energy kind of doing the thing that they've been doing the last 10 minutes or so. They're just happily taking farm in their lanes where they can get it, just pressuring the lanes slowly and really not letting Royal into a position where they can actually 5v5 them potentially and take away, the advantage they're slowly grinding away for themselves. The gold difference, only 2,600 gold between these two teams. Positive Energy are up, but not by much. But I think they know and they feel confident in not only their team fight ability, but kind of the late game they've picked for here as well. We've talked about it already multiple times here, but Jax, he needs some farm to get going, and they're giving him so much space to get the gold he needs.
One interesting just little thing I noticed when they had clicked over Nasus is that Godlike's actually maxed the Q second here, so he is able to farm up big, but it does look like they're attempting a Baron here. A Baron sneak, potentially, for Positive Energy.
If there was ever a three-man Baron team, this isn't a bad one here, but Godlike moving in with the teleport. Royal sniffed that one out. And there is going to be a teleport burnt in there. Looks like Pinkward thrown down there as well. Godlike will pick that one up, and a Siphoning Strike stack to boot, which is always cute. White's here going to clear out with Playful Trickster, AoE down this mending wave here. I mean, getting onto Baron to bait out a teleport there from Godlike, not the worst trade there for PE, and I think Royal now kind of realize that, oh wait, you actually have a really, really strong Baron trio there.
But with the low cooldown between the Spirit Visage and actually maxing that Siphoning Strike first, I think Godlike is actually happy to split farm with Jax. Yeah, usually you'd say letting a Jax get to late game, letting him get to a big item threshold is suicide, but Nasus, I mean, he does infinitely scale. He is got a very low cooldown on that Siphoning Strike. He is building up a lot of damage for a potential late game fight. It's
sort of interesting to me as well, kind of the different anti-carry CCs, I suppose, that they both have. I mean, Jack's a great anti-carry with that Counter-Strike here as Ziv. It looks like he wants to go aggressive there. Name actually using the final hour. Going aggressively forward, but the True Shot Barrage will put him in there. That's very bad news as Uzi cleans him up. Now Ziv getting caught in there as well. Royal completely turned that one around. Tabe very low there from Jojo as the burst comes in. But that was 2 kills that Positive Energy really didn't want to give up there. And that misstep may cost them Baron here. And Uzi, they may have underestimated that damage, but the kind of the poke elements of his kit, the Mystic Shot and the True Shot Barrage, completely cleaned out Nami's HP.
It was just suicidal aggression from Name there, Page Champ. He went in face first into an unwarded brush against an unknown amount of opponents. Like, he didn't need to make anything happen there, but tried to be a superstar and failed.
Uzi coming in there, going to slow him down. Tabe moving in as well. Just misses the death sentence as Jojo flashes out, but Gragas looks like he's going to get chased down here. White lands himself out after flashing, and K9's now in trouble as well as Lucky. One more time, going to find the knock up on the end. They're Godlike now going to get crushed down as Uzi picks up yet another kill. I mean, Positive Energy, they tried to defend their got roll off the Baron, which was good, but there was a couple more kills in there, and Royal are happy to take the little advantages as they come here. Still behind in gold, by the way, but Positive Energy, I think, are lucky to not lose more after that misplay from Name.
Just a bizarre play there. I don't know what they were trying to force there. Obviously, they had already aggressed onto Baron once. They wanted to maybe pick up a pick and then take the Baron, but if it's a warded brush and you have express information that there's not 5 people there, sure, try something, but that was some rampaging from Name that did not pay off.
A little reckless as Jojo going to pick up his blue buff now. It looks like Jax moving in towards a Randuin's Omen, or possibly a Frozen Heart with his Warden's Mail completed up. PE going to clean up Dragon very, very quickly there. Ziv managed to smite that one off, so pretty easy Dragon cleaned up there at this point. Plenty of damage on Vayne with Phantom Dancer plus Blade of the Ruin King finished up, so Name's able to clean that out quite quickly with the help of the jungler. And White's has got his Zonies here, so, I mean, we're kind of talking about it before. Royal seem to have an early lead. Now Positive Energy have a small lead here as well, but most of the items here seem very close between these two teams as they've been able to pick up farm over the last 25 minutes in this game. Gragas has his Void stuff up now as well. Jax is almost at his next item. He's actually got some nice cost-effective defensive items here with Negatron Cloak plus a Warden's Mail. Positive Energy, they're getting closer and closer to the point where they can kind of say it's go time. But Godlike, as well as you mentioned, scales decently on that Nasus, but Glacial Shroud now finished up. So items are plenty for both teams here. I'm very curious to see what a 5v5 around Baron looks like, because I think that's where we're headed next.
I mean, 40% CDI is so massive for Godlike here, and he's actually got the Distortion upgrade on his boots here, because of course, Teleport and Ghost cooldowns both severely lowered with those Distortion boots. He wants to get to 40% CDI just because I mean, in an ideal world, he wants to use uh, Wither on both Jax and Vayne here. Vayne has the cleanse, so of course, probably going to be forced to cleanse, force a cooldown with that Wither onto him. But Jax, of course, is an attack speed based melee DPS, so Wither could be very, very strong in these fights. He already has 5 points in that Wither because he went 5 points into Wither, 5 points into Siphoning Strike, and still working on the Spirit Fire here.
I think Name as well. The next item pick up very intelligent. I already mentioned that Vaynes almost have the luxury of picking up a defensive item third in their builds rather than fourth, as we usually see 3 defensive items first here. And Name is absolutely rushing that Quicksilver Sash as fast as possible almost here because she knows that he needs an extra cleanse here. And looks like Sika actually going to get tied up there as well. Luck moving in with the box there as Thresh comes in and Jojo blows up Tabe, excuse me, as Thresh is going to go down there. But Chum the Waters moves in there as well. Ziv very low, just managed to flash out, although will die there as the red buff ticks away. Now Name chasing on Uzi, but he's forced to flash out there as well on that Vayne. Godlike will go down there. Uzi moving in for the 1v1, but Blade of the Ruin King Pop there. Name, there absolutely nothing he can do with the rest of Royal coming in. And Kanan's going to try and make it happen. Uzi just living one more time with that Bloodthirster. And a 5-for-2 trade there for Royal, as positive energy get wiped.
So much patience there by Royal. You notice they had the ward over the side. They could have gone for a hook on Kanan's at any time, but knew he would activate Counter-Strike and potentially get an AoE ult on them. Instead, they went for the complete pick on Sona, because I'm sure we're going to get a replay here.
There's the death sentence
no
for
one
Tabe.
could attack Ezreal.
I mean, everyone has kind of moved in there. Jojo actually got the kill into that Thresh. He was quite squishy, but Godlike's in there. Name's kind of around the side trying to do what he can. And as you noted there, Uze from the low ground, absolutely just doing so much DPS there. Cataclysm as well from Lucky, perfectly placed in that chokehold. And just a matter of cleaning up here for Royal.
I mean, just with that vision advantage there, being in the brush, they just had no answer for Ezreal free hitting. Of course, Ezreal, of course, he doesn't cancel his auto attacks necessarily with his Q, but so much damage coming out of that Mystic shot with the Trinity Force Bloodthirster at the time. He was just doing so much consistent DPS, and they couldn't get on top of him. And by the time Name changed targets to Ezreal, the fight was over.
Well, I mean, Name couldn't really get in either with Lucky just completely blocking the way with Cataclysm. That was a beautifully engineered fight there from Royal, and poor Stick is going to feel very hard done by getting grabbed up there by Tabe. I mean, it's one thing for Gragas to use Burst and get a kill there, but the support, not really what he wants when he scripts a big ult damage coming through there. And as we said, Gragas kind of a 2-spell guy for the most part, although Body Slam does contribute a reasonable amount of damage as well. And if you use your cast to pick off a support, and you actually don't end up using the CC effect of it that well either, unfortunately, Positive Energy didn't have a whole lot left to clean that team fight up with, and as you said, absolutely no one could get to Uzi.
And even though he has the massive damage potential of the Athenes into the Death Cup, into now the Void Staff, we've got stacking magic resist on Nasus here between the Merc Treads and the Spirit Visage. The Locket is completed on Jarvan here, so of course 20 magic resist to every member and that shield. And Fizz, he doesn't have magic resist, but he has the Zonias to cancel that explosive cast. So he really wants to be getting that damage onto Uzi and Uzi.
See if you're going in, White's going to jump on top of that Vi. Vi going to use the Salt and Battery. Name over the top trying to do some damage. But here comes Godlike with the teleport as well. The True Shot Barrage going to do a little bit of damage, but Jojo now getting chased down there. A great 5-man crescendo though, moves in for Sika. The damage still coming in as Kana just trying to dive and do what he can. But Uzi around the side still free hitting. Name trying to do the damage that he can. Godlike goes down there. White dives on top of that Vayne for so much burst damage. And that's going to be, I think, another clean sweep here. Jojo trying to get away here. White's going to chase in there. Urchin Strike. In fact, just ignites him. Very stylish there from White. It's a 5-for-3 wipe there again as Royal pick up yet another racer on Positive Energy. And just great team fighting overall. Uzi's positioning usually very good. On Ezreal, even better.
And his consistent damage is just obscene pace damage. Each of those Mystic shots is hitting for so much damage with that 200% spell blade here. And you're right, he's playing safe, he's playing smart. And Ziv right there showed why Vi doesn't really work against this comp. She dives in, gets a pick on someone other than Ezreal, because of course Ezreal just so maneuverable in the back, and then dies instantly.
See if here now up the top trying to clean out some of these minion waves. Royal have gotten their push on a little more now. 5-for-3 in turrets in terms of that metric. 5 kills ahead as well. And I believe they're still ahead in Dragons, but the big Baron buff is yet to be taken by either team. That's probably going to be a big deal here. You can see the gold difference quite minimal between the two teams still, and especially at 30 minutes here with only 2,500 gold between the two teams. Really, it's just going to be about these fights here, and at the moment, they're all going Royal's way.
I mean, Uzi was doing well without any cleanse ability. Now, of course, he's picked up the Quicksilver Sash to be even more safe in the back lane here. And they're kind of relying on K9's Jojo and Name to destroy the front line of Royal here, because realistically they're not going to get on top of this Ezreal.
No, and that godlike Frozen Heart's going to do a lot of work here. Jojo now completely out of position, gets knocked up there. A decent ult coming through, but lucky with the Cataclysm on top of him, gets the kill there for Uzi. And that could mean actually a rush to Baron here for Royal. Positive Energy will have to answer here. 45 seconds left on Gragas. He's not going to be up in time if they start Baron. Now they are going to at least try something here as Lucky comes in to clear out some wards. They are going to start it. Sicker with Oracle's going to try and give them some vision back here, but 5v4 must be started here. Royal's Baron damage pretty decent in there as well. And I mean, Positive Energy, they can maybe try something. You can see Ziv charging up the Vault Breaker. Chum the Water is actually keeping Sicker out of the way. And I think they know the Salt and Battery coming in. Jarvan, though, cleans it up, and Ziv instantly eaten there as Whites are still chasing him down. And I mean, Positive Energy, they had to try something. I think Ziv knew that he needed to get in and blow something there on Vi to try and get the steal, but Royal keep calm under pressure there in that Baron pit, and an easy pickup there for them.
Yeah, and the aggressive warding to pick up that Jojo kill facilitates that Baron pickup there. There were no wards on that side of the jungle coming out from Positive Energy. I imagine that Sika just hadn't gone for a sweep at that point. They let the wards fall down, and smart play by Royal to pick up the assassination.
Royal going to continue being aggressive here as well, hanging out in the bush just next to blue buff here. With Baron buff now as well, they only just have to engineer a push here. And looks like they're going to send Godlike down towards the bottom. He's going to clear out waves as fast as he can, which at this point is pretty fast. Between Siphoning Strike plus the Spirit Fire. Jojo as well going to continue farming through the mid. I think Royal actually back off towards Dragon, pick that one up instead, realize like no one's falling for our trap. And you can just see how many wards Royal have right now. It is kind of ridiculous how much of the map they have lit up at this point.
And it's not an unassailable gold lead. It's only about 5,500 gold coming out from Royal, but so much gold on this AD carry, so much gold on Uzi, and he is a man to trust your gold with because he just does so well in the late game. He's farmed up a Storm, he has his damage threat down, has the QSS for safety, and to be honest, he hasn't even been touched in the last few fights, so Positive Energy, they need to engineer a situation where they can lock down this Ezreal.
And Ezreal, very tricky to lock down, you know, when you have absolutely every CC
even
in the
with
book
Vi,
available.
right? The ultimate anti-carry with that ultimate Assault and Battery finds it very hard to lock down that Ezreal.
And I think, you know, Ezreal we used to think of until recently, you know, that blue build Ezreal, that Iceborne Gauntlet, which of course we're absolutely not seeing here from Uzi in this situation. You know, Iceborne Gauntlet was good for a different reason. You didn't do nearly as much damage, maybe as the traditional AD carry damage build did, but the mobility you had in teamfights and the ability to kite people led you to do a lot of damage over time, so you were still
now he kites people still, of course, because
Yes.
the new Trinity Force Phage effect allows him to kite just well. He gets more burst damage. And look, you're not hitting the 40% CDR. You're not being able to use your Arcane Shift quite as often, but you're a real damage threat.
I mean, I think it's the best of both builds as far as it's concerned. You know, we used to see basically just normal AD Ezreal using his mobility kind of in a way that it's still good, but still building traditional damage. In this instance, the blue build very much more on the utility end, looking to be survivable and do a lot of damage over time. Now, Ezreal with his Trinity Force, he just gets absolutely everything he wants, and he is a scary carry once again here. He was good enough before. I think new Trinity Forces maybe pushed him very far up once more.
It's one of those things where one thing that is kind of slept on is that the Spellblade comparison between Iceborne Gauntlet and Trinity Force used to be 125% to 150%, so only a 25% difference. Now with the Spellblade buffs, 75% more of your base AD translated into damage. That's, you know, between about, say, 60 and 80 damage. That's a big jump. So now the opportunity cost of getting that Trinity Force there compared to that blue Ezreal build, just so much more damage coming out of Trinity Force up pickups now.
And Uzi has just been playing spectacularly in these fights here. Royal going to move in for the tier 2 turret down the bottom. You see White's Lichbane there doing a big chunk of damage to that turret. In fact, Royal have been cleaning this up. They're actually looking for a kill. Chum the Waters does whiff there, unfortunately for them, so it won't have that ultimate up for a little while. I mean, Lucky goes back to last hit the turret. Godlike's back in the top lane now. On split push duty, he does have teleport, remember? So he's able to just get in and, you know, cause some problems here for Positive Energy. And at this point, you know, Nasus isn't exactly he's a decent duelist, I guess, because he probably has 1,000,000 Q stacks or something in that range, but Positive Energy have to do something with the Nasus with Baron buff that's hanging around towards that top lane, and looks like they are going to send Jax here, but I don't think K9s can probably kill Nasus, and that means that Godlike here is actually going to go for the teleport. Royal going to try and start a 5v4, but instead just diving in onto the inhibitor turret. They are going to take it out here. White's not in the back there as Tale gets a great hook there in the vein, cleans him up. Jojo now in trouble as a crescendo comes through for Sika, but White's dodges it there as Uzi picks up the kill onto Vi. And you see once again Ziv trying to get the work done there. Cataclysm out there for Lucky, trying to lock somebody down. But Royal there, they already pick up 2 clean kills. A great death sentence there for Tabe to start that one off. And a nice Zonies from Whites as well to dodge the crescendo. Royal at this point maybe just going to try and close the game out here, but they already took out 1 inhibitor, looking very, very good for them.
Absolutely, they got 1 turret down here. Gonna keep the dive going, pick up some exit kills here.
I mean, Uzi at this point, oh, he does die finally as Jax picks him up. Charm the Waters there does come onto cannons. He's going to get knocked up and knocked around. Dark Passage in there as well. The ace completed for Tabe actually as he gets the last kill. I think Uzi's going to be sad to tarnish, I think, what was a flawless record before that death. But I mean, Royal will pick up a win one way or the other. And they do manage to get it there.
And after all their early pressure, all their early, allowing Jax to free